Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question's about the environment, and you know, Clear Lake is kind of like the paw at the end of the Houston dog leg. When it comes down to it, you know, we're way down here by ourselves, the very most southern part of Houston, and we're surrounded by basically Pasadena, Deer Park, Texas City, chemical plants and refineries. The air down here oftentimes is not that great, whether so a northern coming in from the north or winds coming up from the south. Bill White was somebody that a lot of people around here supported in his elections, tried really hard to go about stopping the pollution that was coming out of those cities, and tried to pass some legislation to get that taken care of. He was unsuccessful. What would you do, or what can you do specifically to help clean up the air in the southwest and the southeast part of Houston?
Well, let me say, first of all, that even though Mayor White was unsuccessful, let's applaud him for fighting the good fight. And you ask me, what will I do? I'll do many of the very same things that he did. Because sometimes when you enter a fight, it doesn't end when one person's term ends. And it takes a long time to get it resolved. You just got to stay at it. What we're talking about here is a problem that expands obviously beyond the city of Houston. Your question was very specific. What am I going to do for people who live in Clear Lake and in this area? I'm going to do something for people who live in Houston on the air, because I have air quality issues with citizens in south part of Houston and north part of Houston. Air quality issues come from a lot of problems. Our industries obviously are one, and we can look at that and see that. And in that regard, we need to make sure that we have uniform enforcement throughout the area. So I need to lead the charge to make sure that TCEQ is doing its job. And you lead the charge by lobbying, by begging, pleading, enforcing, and even if necessary, filing litigation against them for them not doing their job. Now, Bill White also took on individual companies. You know, the lawsuits never really materialized, but the threat of doing that was effective. It, A, brought the debate to a head, and B, brought people to the table on compromise. I think that's a good way to move. Now, but the other thing is we've got to look around at what we can do on air quality ourselves. If we work on the transportation grid that causes a lot of the problems in our area, we would be in much better shape. And he's standing, so I know that my time is up. So,
can I follow up with one question? Bush decimated the EPA. What can the mayor of Houston do to get the EPA doing its job again?
Truthfully, the mayor can do very little. But because you have no authority, no responsibility, what I will do with that matter, as with all matters, try to weigh in using the bully pulpit, calling Washington, talking about, you know, what we can do. Much of what you do in this regard is not seen on the radar screen. It's informal. And if it's effective, it's very, very effective. And that's why having friends in Washington can help.
And we don't have